No Silent Hill, 0 out of 10. See you next week, everybody. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to be a little bit more professional than that. And a little bit more objective. Yeah, they wanted to know how upset I am that they didn't show Silent Hill, but I'm just trying to move past it right now. Like, a couple of days leading up to Summer Game Fest, it looked less likely that they were going to do it because they put out the teaser image for Layers of Fear 3. Or Layers of Fears, taking a cue from Aliens, but I'll get to more of my thoughts on that in a second. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Summer Game Fest for the majority of the show. We're going to give our... I was going to say give our highlights, but...
there wasn't much.
Yeah, I know. Like, this was... No joke, guys. It's been a while since I felt like I've wasted a large portion of my time. I barely have enough hours in the day. Like, Saib, how many times before we record the podcast lately have I come up to you and just said, there's just not enough hours in the day to get stuff done?
It's a big problem. And trust me, I have tried to mess with, like, the temporal stream. It never goes well. And
he has tried.
You end up just, like, getting sent back in time, and then you got to go the long way back. And it's just like, oh, my.
Whew. And it's never fun. Like they do it in the Back to the Future movies, even though...
No, it's never that. It's mostly mostly about trying to find food,
right?
Like that's the biggest thing. And the dumb thing is that you're technically immortal while you time travel because you can't paradox yourself, right? So there's a whole bunch of things. Anyways, it gets really boring. But yes, not enough time in the day. It's very annoying.
Right. And so yesterday when I was watching the Summer Game Fest, 2 hours went by, and that was the first time in I think a couple years that I felt like I really wasted my time because they showed us. I think there were roughly 40 announcements, 40 trailers, and I think there was only one that actually I was impressed by, and that was the Callisto Protocol. And we'll get into that in a second. But the rest of it just felt like a giant wasted opportunity because, I understand you're not going to have announcements for all the big games. People were expecting God of War Ragnarok. People were actually expecting there to be news on GTA 6. Yeah, as if. But even with the games that showed promise conceptually, games like Fort Solis, the one with Roger Clark and Troy Baker, the game Routine, which Mick Gordon is scoring, we don't know enough about those games that seem interesting to make this a worthwhile show. They were just like a tagline, a couple of people speaking about it, and that's it. Anyways, I'll just go down the list of things that stood out to me, both good and bad, and then I'll pass it over to Saib.
You definitely overcounted the number of games they talked about. Of the major games, there was only 9.
Well, okay. Well, like, I wrote down, like, each major thing as the show was going along, and I got to 40. But I know I think I missed 1 or 2 of there, so I said, like, roughly 40. But what do you mean, like, major games? Like, are you talking, like AAA games?
Like, big announcements, like, things that were actually, like, notable.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because, like, a lot of them were, like, indie games or updates for pre-existing games, like Fall Guys, the Cuphead DLC, Humankind.
Those games that are already out, and it's just a DLC. I mean, like, a DLC or, like, an update on current things. It's like somebody comes out and does a showcase on like, another, like, expansion pack to Grand Theft Auto. It's like for their online mode. It's like, oh, yeah, again, really? Oh, you're making more content for that. Who would have, oh, wow. Like, the same thing with Fortnite. It's like, yes, Fortnite. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a big thing. But it's like, those aren't big announcements, right? Like, it's like Season 7. You can now ride pets and creatures. It's like...
Dead by Daylight gets a new chapter. Yeah. Like, oh, no kidding. Like, we've been getting that for, like, the last 5 years. And, like, that's fine. I enjoy Dead by Daylight, but it's not the sort of thing that I'd be setting hours of my time aside to watch. So anyways, let's get into just the 1 or 2 interesting things, and then we'll just spend the rest of the time bitching about it. So, as I mentioned, the one thing that I felt was worth my time throughout this entire show was the Callisto Protocol. That game looks fantastic. It looks kind of like Dead Space meets Resident Evil style graphics, where, you know, when you play a Resident Evil game, like one of the more recent ones, like everything looks good, but then there's like that one thing that really just doesn't look good. It's kind of like Resident Evil 7, right? Good looking game. But then you look at Mia's hair and you feel like she has a condition, right? That's sort of what it looked like with the Callisto Protocol. Everything looked gorgeous, but then the blood spatter just started coming out and it looked like a game from the PS2 era. But that's just a very minor criticism. Everything else looks fantastic. And thankfully, It's coming out this year, so I do actually have a game with a firm release date, at least for now. It could change. That's coming out later this year. Because aside from Hogwarts Legacy, I wasn't looking forward to anything else, but now I'm looking forward to this. The ending of that trailer really sold me on it. Like when that guy gets sucked into that propeller and just the genuine look of horror on his face, that was like, okay, you got me. So I'm down for that. But then aside from that, to repeat what I said before, it just seemed like a whole bunch of stuff that seems to have promise, but we either don't know enough about it or there's one or two things that got me really worried. So I think when I brought up Witchfire on in the Discord server when we were talking about it, really interesting looking game, really interesting concept, like medieval meets firearms and like a witchcraft type of aesthetic, but it's early access and it's Epic Games, right? Early access, what do you mean by early access? Is it going to be like Baldur's Gate 3 type of early access where it's like really high quality? Or is it going to be like all the other early access games? I don't know.
All the other early access games. There's basically the norm now that we have to contend with. So, yeah, not great.
Okay.
Not great.
Now, moving on from that, the trailer they showed right after Witchfire, Fort Solis, the one that apparently Roger Clark and Troy Baker are going to be a part of. I'm a fan of both of those guys. I think they have brought a lot of personality and like I know Troy Baker's and everything, but I actually do enjoy the stuff that he does. I don't know what he's like as a person. I won't get into that. Also, right after they showed the main trailer for that, when he described the game as Dead Space meets Duncan Jones's Moon, I mean, I love both of those things. If I can get a Dead Space type gameplay with a Duncan Jones Moon type story, you could get something really, really special. And you got talent like Roger Clark and Troy Baker behind it. It could turn into something really cool. But we don't have enough information about what type of game it is. Same thing with Routine. Space game, really interesting graphics, and hell, like Mick Gordon scoring the game. There's very few games that I will buy where I just buy it for the person scoring the soundtrack. I'm going to buy the upcoming Slitterhead just because Akira Yamaoka is scoring it. I don't think Nobuo Uematsu is doing very many games lately, but if he scored a new game, I would definitely buy it. But yeah, Routine, it looks interesting, but I don't know enough about it. Outriders, Syb, why? Why? When they showed the DLC for that game, I looked up the concurrent players on Steam, and within the past 24 hours yesterday, there were 843 people playing that game. Now, to put that into perspective for you guys, you know how a lot of people have been talking crap about Battlefield 2042 lately and how much like the player count has dipped for that game compared to the past releases? That game yesterday had 8 times the concurrent players that Outriders did. They had 7,000 players playing Battlefield 2042 over Outriders 800. Why?
So a lot of people in our community played the game for quite a while.
Yeah.
And the problem with Outriders is that it was the same problem with a bunch of games that have released over the last few years that get amazingly good success, like way more success than they were thinking. And for some reason, they didn't like anticipate that. And then they do something that kills the game almost immediately. In Outriders' case, it was twofold. So one, all of the end game was time-based. Like time-based. So it didn't matter about deaths or anything like that. It was like, oh, you have to just move at this fastest, highest speed rate possible, or you're not going to get the stuff.
Right.
What ended up happening is that more or less killed the game. Because the speed builds became the most important builds possible. It wasn't about weapons. It wasn't about like style or choice or character, picks. An entire class was left on the wayside because they could clear the difficulty, but they couldn't do it in approximately 2.5 minutes. It took them at least like 4 minutes. And because of that, 1/4 of the entire player base was frowned upon. And that's just brilliant. And it took them ages to fix that. Like just absolutely ages to fix that. And instead of like fixing something important like that, they nerfed a whole bunch of builds that then forced the game to basically be played by a small fraction of the possible builds. So it meant that you were going to get a singular weapon, and you were maxing that singular weapon in a particular way, and then you were clearing the map in basically the same way every single time. And this is what skill-based shooters, but that's not correct. Shooters that have skills and abilities mixed into them. When you favor the weapons and you completely ignore the abilities, and the game becomes the same stagnant, repetitive content where you're not encouraged to explore and utilize your different abilities. You're just encouraged to find the best gun and shoot the enemies with the best gun.
Yeah, like Destiny.
You're not encouraged to like set up traps, set up combos, set up chain attacks, stuff like that. You know, things that the abilities in the game naturally encourage you to do. You're not challenged with that. But the other thing is that you're not rewarded for like playing differently. Like one of the things that I really liked in that stupid Ubisoft game, I really enjoyed that Ubisoft game, the post-apocalyptic one.
Oh, Division.
Yeah, so Division 2, Division 1 had a whole litany of problems. Division 2 had like introduced more weapons and stuff like that. And one of the things that I really liked was this little like drone that you could, if you maxed out your abilities and you got like all this ability power and all this cool stuff, you could like sneak up to a group of enemies. You could take out your little drone guy. You could target all of them, like paint all of the targets in the group. And then you send out your drone and the drone basically kills all of them at the same time. It's absolutely beautiful and absolutely pointless to take on any mission at all, period. Because you're not rewarded for taking out all of the enemies in an area all at once. You're not rewarded for that. You're rewarded for shooting them all with your gun really, really fast. That's what's rewarded. Yeah. Same thing with this. Same thing with a bunch of these other like FPS games that I saw, coming out is like, it's like I can tell that it's not going to be about world building or interesting content. It's going to be about shoot the things fast. And that's a concept that I don't think is a popular one. And I really don't think that it's
actually
growing the medium.
I would push back on that. I would say that it is popular, but it's sort of been monopolized by certain franchises. So like people, for example, Overwatch, my girlfriend's been getting me into Overwatch lately. The classes that people tend to play are DPS classes where it's just trying to shoot people as fast as you can with one gun, right? But because so many people are playing that game and other games that are similar to it, like Call of Duty, you know what I mean?
Overwatch is actually a great example of the same problem.
Right.
Because you have all these amazing skills and abilities but that's very rarely are those skills actually used in a way that tilts the actual fight, the battle. And I think that's the problem, because Overwatch population's hurting. Modern Warfare population's hurting. Yeah. Every shooter population is hurting. And even things like, the Bungie game.
Halo. Destiny.
Destiny 2 population is hurting. And again, I think it's hurting because it's too much of the exact same stuff over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You don't have enough focus on abilities, and I believe part of the problem stems from this idea that you can't have a game that plays good like that. Why? Because people want bullets to kill enemies in a few shots.
Yes.
And I saw this when they were watching the it's not Tom Clancy's, the Modern Warfare thing that they showcased. It's like everybody dies in like one shot. Like everybody dies in one shot.
Right.
And it's like I don't understand why those games are popular. I also don't understand like why people bother like why does anybody bother wearing armor in these games? It's like, oh, one shot, you instantly die. Why am I carrying 50 pounds of armor? Like why am I carrying all this gear? It doesn't matter. It's just like you'd think that it would just be like might as well show up in a suit.
At that point, it's just fashion duty.
Yeah, it's just fashion duty because it's just everything dies in one shot. But I've been in these games where it's like if you have anything other than that, there's a ton of people who just get really angry at that, and it's like, man, I had to use like 4 bullets in my gun to kill this guy. I can't believe how ridiculous that is. It's like,
yeah, people still buying the crap out of it.
Yeah. Well, not really. All of their sales are down.
Well, Vanguard was. We'll see how Modern Warfare 2 does, because it seems like people are somewhat excited for that. We'll see how equivalent that is, the sales for that is to something like Vanguard. Hopefully it is lower, because I would prefer games like that to not do. Like, I want all games to do well. I'd rather certain companies not do as well, like Activision. But you know what I mean. Anyways, let's move on from that.
Activision stuff it.
Yes, of course. Hold on. Like, Okay, so actually, yeah, I will pass this off to you, but one of the games that came up after Outriders was Stormgate. I know that you have a lot to say on that, so go ahead.
So Stormgate, well, it's not a lot to say on it because we don't know what it's like yet.
Well, right,
We do know that the art, the style looks interesting. The mech looks interesting, and the enemies are, well, the devils. I think devils are perfectly fine enemy archetype. I think there's still lots of room to grow there. I don't think it gets old. So yeah, watching that, very excited. But I'm more excited for what this means. So we put out the trailer for this on the channel, and Ash popped in my notes in that video. So if you saw that on the main channel, then you'll know this. So Stormgate is made by a new company made up of Blizzard X's, basically.
Right.
And it's not just made up of, the way I stated it was, I'll actually pull it up here because I want to make sure that I get this right. But this company is built from what Blizzard did not want, respect, or cared about. They didn't care about the RTS genre anymore. They didn't respect the team working on this. They treated them like garbage, and they frankly didn't want them. And so they chased them out, basically. They lost, and now their success will show what Blizzard had lost. And so what we've seen here, again, lots of news with Blizzard this week because they decided to create one of the worst monetized game I have ever seen. It was so bad. I only got to like level 10 or 12 or something like that. It wasn't much. I didn't have a lot of time. I couldn't play it for basically the whole week. But a couple days ago, when I saw the breakdown of the full-on monetization system, I expected it to be bad. This game has 21 or 24 resource types that have to be bought, traded, improved. Most of them are bought with real-world money.
Yeah.
And you can spend, so an update on one of the stories going around is that there's a streamer who's now spent $10,000 on the game and has yet to receive one 5-star gem. People are watching him.
$1,000?
$10,000 on the game.
Oh my God.
And still has no 5-star gem. You need
this guy's a streamer, right? He better be a streamer. If he's just
he's a streamer. Yes,
okay, good.
He's been streaming it. There are other people who have already spent more.
Right, and they have no brains.
There's rumors going around of people already spending 20K, 50K, 40K. And again, it's like the player power that you can purchase is absolutely ludicrously insane. If you purchase enough 5-star stuff, you can walk into an arena against a free-to-play player who has played through the same content as you, who's done the same number of endgame bosses and stuff like that, and you can stand there and go AFK for like 20 minutes, come back, press one button, and he's dead. That's the power differential. Maybe not quite exactly that, but it's pretty darn close. You get 300% more stats, 300% more stats, more armor. So that means you're not just doing 300% less damage than the other dude is. You're also like not hitting them, and you're getting deflected, and you're getting armor stuff by that much. And I thought that was insane. I was like, my goodness, this is absolutely insane. People will play for years to try and get this. So people have done some digging, and they have discovered that Diablo Immortal, a lot of that power is reset every season. So every season, your power is basically going to reset itself. And you're going to have to do that climb all over again with the same monetization system. I don't know what fool is playing this game, burning money into it, and thinking that this is going to be a good thing. You apparently just like burning money, which, I mean...
Well, they have money to burn.
It's kind of like firing off like missiles and RPGs. It's like, it's really expensive, and it's fun for a few seconds. But good Lord. I'm nearly speechless. The amount of like money. So I have, I'm not going back to it. I'm not touching it again. This is too much. My characters are stuck at level 10.
Right.
And I have zero interest in getting into anything now. And I'm like, I was really close to resubbing to WoW because the whole new like patch came out, and you can now play with Alliance and Horde together, and had a bunch of old friends that are like, hey, we really want to play with you. And then this happened, and I'm like, I can't
do it, man. Yeah.
This is getting ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. So no, Stormgate is more interesting, not because of the games they're making, but because what that is going to mean if they succeed.
Right.
What it represents. I hope that Mike, former leader of Blizzard, I hope he is working on a World of Warcraft alternative. I hope a dozen companies are working on alternatives because I want somebody to succeed. If Phil, I will be very disappointed in Microsoft and Phil if they don't come in and they don't change this stuff. If they just come in and they say, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that they say, nope, this is it. We come in and they fire, like, the head of almost every department that had anything to do with these decisions. It's like, this is nightmarish.
Well,
it's getting worse.
The hope is that when Kotick is gone, when the deal is done, that things will start to change. But given the fact that Microsoft is also a big corporation, I don't know what direction it's going to go in. I'm just going to maintain a state of nihilistic pessimism in the hopes that maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But anyways, moral of the story is buy Stormgate when it comes out, provided it's at least decent. I mean, I don't play RTS games, but I'm probably just going to buy it at a protest. High Water, interesting concept. Not enough there that makes me particularly excited to play it. Probably best trailer of the entire show was Goat Simulator 3. That was
a good one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not gonna buy that game. I played Goat Simulator for like an hour once, and it was cute, but I had no interest in going back to it. But I will say, parodying and making fun of the lack of Dead Island 2 news for like the last several decades with that trailer was so cute, and it made me like perk up for the first time in like 45 minutes since the Callisto Protocol trailer.
Yeah. No, that one was that was funny. That was legitimately funny. I think it's great. It's a great idea. I did like American Arcadia as far as the generalized premise and the trailer went.
Yeah.
Looks interesting.
Like Truman Show the game.
Yeah. It's like Truman Show the game and a bunch of insanity stuff. Yeah, that's interesting.
By the way, just one thing about Goat Simulator 3, in case you never played those games, just so you know, there is no Goat Simulator 2. They are basically doing what Kojima originally wanted to do with the Metal Gear Solid games. Because, I don't know, like, most people probably don't know this. When Metal Gear Solid 2 was coming out, Kojima originally wanted to call it 3, just because, he's Kojima. But that never happened. But now Goat Simulator took that and made it their own. So good for them. Zenless Zone Zero. Looks cool concept. Visually impressive. Not going to play it. Why? You want to tell them why?
No, I don't know why you were...
Oh, it's because the guys who made Genshin Impact made it. So you just...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not because... like I said, Genshin Impact. Cool concept. It probably has really fun gameplay, at least according to what Syb said, and it's beautiful to look at. But the mechanics... The gacha mechanics, I'm good. Thank you.
But here's a little bit of a difference. Like, if you play Genshin casually to like medium casualty, or medium casualty, medium casual, and you just lock out your ability to pay money into the game, you can experience the entire story, get to the end game, compete with friends, play cool stuff. You could definitely max out a team. You can definitely max out one team for sure. And it's a good team. People do it all the time. There's a ton of streamers that do Genshin and Honkai stuff. They don't spend money. It's part of the charm. It's part of the challenge actually. And Honkai actually they actually sponsor a couple people who do who stream the game with no purchases. And because again, it's part of the community challenge. You can't do that in Diablo. And so again, and I'm not covering for Genshin here. I'm not saying that they're doing a good thing. I'm saying that they have a cultural thing that is fairly common with buying and doing gacha systems. It's really common over there. It's what they're kind of built on. That's not an excuse for encouraging gambling addiction, stuff like that. And they also have much higher rates of gambling addiction over there. Like in families, where one relative will go and spend the entire family fortune and indebt the entire family, and they just have to live with it. That's nightmarish. But in comparison to Diablo, it's absolutely completely ridiculous. But Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Star Rail, they look great.
Yeah.
And again, I will plead with Hoyo, for the love of God, take one of these games, please. Just take one of the games and just like cosmetic only. Just cosmetic only. Make all the characters unlockable through story or achievements, and just please, for the love of God, give us one game without a stupid microtransaction thing to it. And if they did that, I swear, if they did that, I still think that Genshin Impact would be the number one game worldwide for the year that it launched and probably the next year afterwards, if it just removed the microtransactions. If they just made it cosmetic only, that's it. I think people would be more willing to get into the game, and the stories in those games are marvelously well written.
Yeah, I've heard.
Absolutely marvelously well written. It's well acted. It's just everything great. And I don't know, maybe they need to make $4 billion a year in order to make that happen. As far as quality goes, it's the highest quality video games we've seen in ages. It really is. And that's sad and disappointing and makes me cry, because here we are hoping that companies in North America would learn their lesson, or in Europe, and would learn their lesson and release a good game without any bugs that has, amazing writing in it. But instead we get this absolute garbage. Yeah. And then it's just like these games are held up as like the savior to mankind, and they just continually like talk about them nonstop. It's disgusting. Ugh, it makes me feel sick. But yeah. What do you think about the probably one of the most exciting announcements they had? Can you guess which one?
Layers of Fears?
No.
Saints Row?
No.
Oh,
no.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Turtles, man.
Oh.
We're gonna get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah. See, people. Okay, you know what? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I didn't grow up with them. I was more of a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers kid. But I'll echo on behalf of a whole bunch of other people that I was listening to yesterday. People are really excited about that game.
Yeah, a lot of people are really. Again, I didn't necessarily grow up on Turtles. I definitely watched the show when I was a kid. Not a huge fan of it. Like not like it was in the day. Like, just to give you an idea, the kids in my school would get together and run to the nearest manholes and call out the names of the characters, hoping they would make an appearance.
Nice.
That's how much they love the Ninja Turtles. I liked the Ninja Turtles as a generalized thing, but I was not hanging around near sewer grates calling for the Ninja Turtles. I didn't go exploring in any manholes looking for super turtles and pizza that you find in a sewer. Ugh.
But you probably could find there, but it'd probably kill you.
But yeah, it definitely looks interesting, and a lot of people hype for it. And I say good, because it's get back to that kind of stuff. I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to that. Let's try it. Let's see. Let's give it a go. Sure, why not?
6-player co-op? Sure. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is the people that be playing that game on the Switch. Can you imagine 6-player co-op on the Switch? 5 frames per month? Anyways, but we won't be playing it on the Switch. Yeah, One Piece Odyssey. I don't really know anything about One Piece, but I'm sure people are happy about that. Metal Hellsinger? That slaying to the music, having a System of a Down singer sing songs.
If I was not had a horrible issue with the vast majority of FPS games, I would actually be kind of excited for this. Like, legitimately, my rock out beats is things like Nightwish. So yeah, I know some people just cringed right now, but I listened to it Nightcore version, so I'm hip and new. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I saw this when it originally kind of was originally like talked about, and I was like, cool. Don't have it, but I think it's cool. When I was talking about the evolution of FPSs and how they've kind of stagnated, this is not that. This is the opposite of that. This is really darn cool, and I hope they have decent success. I don't think it's a complete game changer, but I think it's something that offers like something new and or different. I think that's a good thing.
It's like a different topping on your pizza. Instead of peppers, you get onions this time around. It's different. It's slightly different. It's enough to make you want to go get pizza the next day. I'll say this: out of all of the first-person shooters that were announced as a part of this event, that's probably the one that I'm most excited to check out, and seems most worth my time. Just a few more things. Layers of Fear. Look, I know people enjoy those games. They're not for me. Like, it's fine. Like, that type of gameplay is fine for like a 30-minute demo with the PT demo, like back when that thing was still going to be a thing. Yeah. But you guys know what I was hoping to hear from Bloober. And all they had to do was just say that they were working on it. If they just said they were working on it, this show's a 10 out of 10. I guess we'll just have to wait a little bit longer for Silent Hill news. God, it's just killing me. Saints Row, don't really care. I mean, yeah.
Don't get too excited for it. I mean, there's been a bunch of projects that, like, again, I was expecting to hear something this year about half a dozen games that we've heard about in some cases almost nearly a decade ago now, and they're still not out yet. And when people ask, it's like, oh yeah, we're still working on it. It's like, are you though? Really? Like really, are you?
Yeah.
Because at this point, starting to get a little suspicious. Little sus.
Beyond Good and Evil 2? Okay, and then finally, I kind of feel gross saying this, but The Last of Us, I am actually kind of interested in the TV show, mainly because I think they nailed the casting for Joel and Ellie. We got a picture from that show. Looks interesting. And then also, what they're describing doing with The Last of Us multiplayer. The Last of Us 1 Factions multiplayer was unusually good for the. You wouldn't think about playing that game for the multiplayer, but that game was better. The multiplayer for that game was better than it had any right to be, and so people were naturally expecting it to come back with The Last of Us 2. But I guess for whatever reason, maybe they didn't have time. Maybe with all the stuff that was the controversy that was going on behind the scenes with Naughty Dog, they didn't have the manpower to make it happen. But the way that they're describing this new Factions game, how it's going to have its own story, how it's going to be incorporating the gameplay that was a part of The Last of Us Part 2, and that I actually quite liked. That was the one thing that I really, really liked about The Last of Us Part 2. I'm intrigued. Will the story be like succeeding our expectations in the same way that Last of Us Part 2 did, where it just exceeded our expectations in the bad way? I don't know. But I'm intrigued. Let's just say that. What I'm not intrigued about is, well, I don't really care about the Last of Us 1 remake until they said they're making it for PC. Then I'm like, okay, it's one of my top 20 favorite games of all time. If they do enough to change the game up beyond just graphics, like they actually add in the gameplay from Last of Us Part 2 into 1, then maybe I'll pick it up. But like, I would rather they do something with like Jack and Daxter or Sly Cooper or something rather than that. But Side, what do you think about those 3 separate announcements?
So, if you like microtransactions, just you wait until you get this new multiplayer game we talked about.
Yeah.
It's going to have live service. Everything you want from a live service game. And they're going to have some good live service game. You're going to wish that you were back playing number 2 and watching all your favorite things die in the hole in the ground. Yeah. That most people didn't pick up on that.
Is that what he said?
It's not. I don't think he mentioned it one way or the other particularly. But looking into it, yeah, expect a high amount of live service microtransaction shenanigans, and yeah, expect to be dealing with a lot of that.
Well, that's what happens, and yeah, I'm not too inclined. I'd rather just go back and play Halo.
Yeah. So yeah, I again, this is one of these things where it's like, we get excited on this stuff, and then it just falls apart. And again, like my expectations from Neil
Druckmann. Yes, Druckmann.
is slightly above that of a worm, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so that's the show, man. Like, that's what they closed it out with. Just to reiterate, not like anything. Like, there might be some interesting things to come out of games, like Metal Hellsinger, like
Nightingale looks interesting.
Yep. Soul Hackers. Yep.
Looks very interesting
because it's Atlas.
Yeah, and I was. So that's one of the games that I was a little surprised with. But yeah, I mean, there does appear to be some good, interesting things coming, and hopefully it won't be terrible.
Right, but it's like, I wish they would have told us just a little bit more in regards to some of those projects just to make the showcase worthwhile. As it was, I was so disappointed and bored, and I felt like I wasted my time so much that I don't even know if I'm going to watch the showcase for Xbox and Bethesda on Sunday. I might just wait until it's done and then just see what all the highlights were. You know?
Yeah.
But I might just end up watching it again because, it's my job. But anyways, that was it. Guys, what did you think of the showcase? I'd be surprised if, you really enjoyed it. Were there more than just, the Callisto Protocol for myself that really, really got your gears humming? Let us know in the comment section below. I could really use the positivity.
And if you don't, Batman will come and beat you up. But he can't because he's dead. But Nightwing might. Yeah, that game's
freaking
Gotham Knights. Interesting. Summer game. The Quarry. Another one to mildly interested in, but for the most part, fairly disappointing.
Yeah,
and that's weird because there's a lot of other stuff that was going on this weekend as well. So, Devolver Digital had its showcase last night. We have Cult of the Lamb, which is amazing.
Okay.
So the premise of this game is there's a cute, cuddly lamb who's animated by looks like hand drawings, and he's going to come and he's going to save all the farm animals who are being hunted by some very bad thing in the wood. And, you need to save them by doing satanic rituals and summoning dark powers and becoming the cult leader that is the lamb, and the lamb will save you or bury you all and quite possibly kill you and eat your flesh. Yeah, it's one of those games where just totally you're even the trailer was this little forest critter. He's running and hiding from the thing chasing him, and then he gets saved by the lamb, and the lamb takes him to this nice little village where all these other farm animals are all doing things. He looks over and he waves at two farm animals that are digging a hole, and they wave back at him smiling, and then he turns and he leaves, and then the camera lingers as you see another forest critter that's clearly dead being dumped into the hole that they're digging.
What is this game rate? Okay, so full disclosure, because I was so disappointed by the Summer Game Fest, I didn't watch any of the other stuff. Syb, he's going to be taking the reins for the rest of the show. So I'm going to be looking up these trailers as he talks about them. I'm looking at this Cult of the Lamb right now. What? This has got to be rated M, right? I mean, it looks cute as crap, but...
yeah, this is basically if you love that bit from South Park, where the
little creatures,
little cuddly forest creatures that worship the darkness and all the other great things. It's hilarious. I'm really interested in this game. Comes out on the 11th.
That frog just threw a dead body into a pit. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Sorry.
Really creepy stuff, and gameplay is pretty awesome. Then you got Angerfoot, which is it's just it's this angry game that's maxed out to on a scale of 1 being a 1 is Slime Ranchers. You're going around with your little slime gun, and you're sucking up slimes and putting out slimes, and it's just all good, wholesome fun. And then a 5 is Halo, where it's it's so cool. And then 10 is Postal, where the game has been banned in a lot of countries because it's just way over the line.
So yeah,
this is it's not quite at that level, but the feel of it does. This is a caffeine fuel. They call it a caffeine fueled fever dream in blank city. It's just you kick down doors and you explode things, and it's just insane. Not my cup of tea. Looks interesting. Developers, did some good stuff. It's a card shark game, which is very interesting. You play as an actual card shark set in 18th century France, where you're trying to like win and beat at games, but if you go a little too far or if you get caught, then a duel ensues and you get shot. Or you shoot the other guy. Very interesting take on it.
Well, I'll give Devolver Digital credit. At least, like, they're trying
Come
to
up with interesting things, different things, right?
Yeah. Like we were just talking about. Like here with Angerfoot, I'm watching the trailer for that right now. It's got it is adding that what Shakespeare would say chutzpah element. No, I'm just kidding. That element that is different from like the major first-person shooters. Here, it kind of looks like Hotline Miami, but 3D and with a more cutesy art style. Yeah, I'd be down to check this out. By the way, did they announce anything in regards to the Talos Principle Part 2?
Don't think so. No.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm really looking forward to. But anyways.
And then they had Plucky Squire, which is a very interesting game. It's like a children's storybook that starts out in a book on a table, and then the Plucky Squire discovers that he can leave the book. And it's hilarious because he leaves the book. He literally jumps off the thing, and then he's running around in the world, as this tiny little character, and then he pops in and out of like anything that has a graphic on it. So like there's a little graphic on a coffee cup, and he can actually jump into the coffee cup. And it very interesting, very unique. Oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah, very different, very not something that you normally see. And very, very cool. And then the last one they had was a skate story where you play a demon that's made out of glass and pain, according to the trailer. You're made of glass and pain, and you're trying to skate your way out of hell. You're not in hell, you're just in a kind of like a city kind of thing. Weird, very weird kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Very, very trippy, very like very unique in the sense of like the music and the play, and you're just skating, and your character literally looks like glass in a world that looks like glass and lights. Like I said, very, very trippy. Mm-hmm. And this is the second kind of trippy game. We got another one the day before on OTK's game show, Gamecast or whatever they call it. Very interesting. Just a game where you just kind of like chill out and you just play. Looks interesting. Mm. And that's coming from somebody who hates skating games normally.
I gotta say, like the games that were shown at this Devolver Digital, I'm kind of regret not watching it right now. This is like just
definitely,
with these four.
Definitely, yeah. I recommend everybody check it out. They had a very funny Devolver always does. They always do a show that's within the show of the show, showing the trailers for the show. Mm-hmm. And this one got like even like funnier and better this time around. It was quite cute. It was quite good. Grats on them. But yeah, let's take a quick peek over the Netflix show that started today. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, so I'm only going to be reading highlights. I got to check out a little bit of it, and then I had to stop because it was very visual, and I could only listen to it. So Dragon Age Absolution, new animated show coming to Netflix. Interesting.
Animated.
Yeah.
Huh. Let me look that up.
Yeah. Then there's a new Tekken-based anime. Again, coming to Netflix. Well, obviously everything is coming to Netflix. But yeah, new Tekken anime. And you know the guy who does the Tekken stuff? He's very what's the word? He's very strange. Most people would call him strange. I don't like using that word because it usually has some negative connotations to it. But he's a little bit of he's a little odd sometimes. Like he dresses like one of his characters, and it's very interesting. Very interesting film. Not dissing him.
I've never played Tekken. My girlfriend should probably have to tell me a little bit about that because she's obsessed with that game.
But yeah, so a new anime coming out from Tekken. Then there is the Shadow and Bone TV series. TV series. Yes, I'm getting quite old. Shadow and Bone is a very interesting kind of like fantasy / like current day-esque type fantasy. Like I don't even know what you call it. Like a thing. We'll just call it a thing. So it's getting an RPG based off the show. So that's coming, and again, coming to Netflix. Interesting. Then there's something called Too Hot to Handle. Then there is the La Casa de Pablo video game in the works. It's a heist adventure game with a standalone story. Mm-hmm. Also connected to the show La Casa de Pablo. I'm probably butchering that. I apologize.
So they're taking pre-existing franchises and trying to make games. Okay.
Queen's Gambit, which is a show that I have definitely heard about on Netflix, got a game coming out that focuses around the characters playing chess. Which is really interesting and weird.
I hope it's just not like just regular chess, but with the Queen's Gambit aesthetic. That'd be lame.
Yes, it's like Queen's Gambit chess game, but the game is you play chess within the story of the game as well.
Oh, okay. All right,
on. So there's events happening, there's characters talking to you, you go from match to match, you challenge certain things, you do certain things. It's very interesting. I'm really liking the kind of the direction they're going with that. The Cuphead TV show obviously coming to Netflix as well. And then Lucky Luna, the retro style vertical platform, is also coming to Netflix as well, which is really cool. Then there's Desta Memories Between, which is this weird turn-based strategy game from a developer. It's I think it's Us 2 Games, coming out later this year. And then there's another, like, I think it's a cat throwing coin ball thing. Don't ask me about this one. I have no idea about it. One of the ones that I couldn't check out. But very interesting as far as, like, you get to play a little phone game. Then there's Dragon's Blood Season 3 is coming. That's the Dota thing, so that's still running. That's still going really good. So, and then I believe there is Sonic Prime, Big Cat and Froggy, Netflix after school show coming. Castlevania Nocturne is coming.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so a lot of good stuff. Now, here's the kicker that most of you listening, I hope this is going to pique your ears. You're going to move up and you're going to go, "What? You're kidding." Here's the trick. None of these games are going to cost anything, and none of these games have any microtransactions in them.
Right. And that's interesting.
I went from not interested in Netflix at all to going, hold up now. These games are free and have no microtransactions?
Now, it just depends. Really? Yeah. Okay. So, provided that the subscription price for both regular Netflix and Netflix games is reasonable,
I believe it's the same thing. I don't think they're separate. I think it's literally just one subscription.
Wonderful. And if the games are of a sufficiently high enough quality that they will want to tear me away from sort of the games that we all have on our radar, like God of War, Ragnarok coming up later this year, supposedly, Starfield, then this could be a game changer. Not just for games, but for Netflix especially, because they haven't been doing that well lately.
Yeah. So again, I haven't been like tuned into Netflix for quite a while, this made me sit up and take notice. And I will say that if they continue to do this, if they continue to have this offering of a product that doesn't have microtransactions, that's not jamming anything down your throat, I'll look at resubbing.
Yeah.
And I want to see some of these games first, get a review. But like, wow, a company turning their back on microtransactions.
When they're in a place right now where they could so easily just embrace it with these games. Yeah, more power to them if it works out that way.
A lot of these games, not all of them, but like one or two of them looks like something that you would say, oh yeah, and how, what's the transaction, microtransactions in that game? It's probably loaded to the nines, right? Like there's gold currency and gem currency and all this other stuff. But no, actually, there's none of that. So again, I will give props to Netflix if they continue with this. I'm really, really forward thinking. So, okay, we're pretty late in the show here. I'm going to briefly discuss this because I encourage everybody to check out the OTK show. Now, it was 5 hours. It was very long. It was hosted by Asmongold and Rich Campbell. It was, I would say, massively better than the Summer Games Fest with Jeff Keighley. By a long margin. Yes. Thank you for that notification, phone.
Your phone agrees with you.
I'm not kidding. They had over 40 solid games. Some cases, rock solid games. Check out Neodash. S-Proxy. That's ESSE. Check out Cuddly Carnage. Check out Arto. ARTO. Check out Under the Stone. Creed Valley. Check out Immortal Gates of the Pit. Spirits of Helmets. Coroman. Roboti. Catbox Paradox. Minigame Madness, Matriarchy. Matriarchy is hilarious. If you're Catholic, you might not, be able to play it. Matriarchy is basically you play. So it's basically Among Us, or it's a type of Among Us. You're playing as the same characters. They all look visually identical. And they have different names over their heads, and you're trying to act like an NPC, while the player who's playing the matriarch goes around and looks for who to kill. Basically, they walk around, they observe the players and a bunch of NPCs playing in a field, doing repetitive tasks. Your job is to look like you're a NPC, and then the matriarch tries to pick off all the real players before they can escape. So very interesting. Then there's Fueled Up. Space Game. Looks great. Famous. Then there's Fashion Police Squad. Project Sparrow. Choo Choo Charles, which I believe we saw in the Summer Games Fest. There's Hold Fast Nations at War. Rocket Bot Royale. Then there's Age of Kateria. Steel Guardian, Roboco, Abyss, Built to Destroy. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Escape Academy, Headless Jeff 3, The Last Cube, Harmony's Odyssey, Nightcrawler, not Nightcrawler, the hero, Nightcrawler, different thing. Kinfire Chronicles, a board game that is also going to be able to be played digitally with friends. Looks amazing. They covered The Pale Beyond, which is Bellular Studios' game. Ethereal, Echoes of Yours. There was a lot of stuff. And on top of this, they gave out $50,000 to these indie developers. Some of these games were pretty indie. Other ones are I'd say double A. But I am floored. I was floored by, again, it was a really long show. they could definitely like have sped it up and then put off more of their interactability stuff into kind of like a post-show kind of thing. But this blew my mind, and it definitely blew the Summer Games Fest out of the water. 100%, absolutely. There were more interesting games, better games on the on that showcase with Asmongold than there was in Summer Games Fest. So, yeah, look out, Keely. You got somebody coming for you, and I gotta say, so they had one of the they had the exact same studio basically. They both were sitting in an AR augmented scene or stage, right? And those guys had a stage that was far better than the one that Keely was standing on. And it looked better. It had more cool stuff going on, and they had like better transitions. There was definitely some cringy stuff, but other than that, very fascinating.
I wish I could speak to it. I didn't obviously have the chance to watch it. Maybe
I'll probably just go through probably look at the highlight reel.
Sure. Yeah, not the whole 5 hours.
There's a couple highlight reels online already. For those of listening here, if you want to tune into Ash and Mooney and myself talking about it, I believe Ash is getting that video up sometime soon. It will probably be this weekend. But check out, just go to the list of games that they covered and look into the various types of games that they covered that they talked about, and check out things that you're typically interested in. Whether that's party games or simulation games or RPG strategy, whatever. There's some interesting stuff that they showcased there, and it again, they're really giving a certain somebody a run for their money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'll do that tomorrow because I actually don't have as much work to do tomorrow. I got my video done. But that will do it for this episode of Maximum News, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us.
The longest one we've done.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like a whole, like all the stuff that came out of those events. There's a lot of stuff to cover, even though we weren't particularly thrilled with most of it. We will be covering Xbox and Bethesda, obviously. I'm still curious.
We will be covering Xbox live. Please don't miss it. I believe that'll be about tomorrow when you're hearing this. It'll be coming out on the 12th on Sunday. Check it out. We are definitely going to be covering it live. We're going to be reacting to it live. Latest, just very quickly, there was a 5, I believe it was 5 or 6 new titles were preloaded into Xbox, the Xbox Game Pass. I think it was at least 5. It could have been as many as 7, but that means that those games are going to be launching soon, right? Not things that are like this. This isn't stuff that we're going to be seeing a couple months down the road. That means that we're going to get probably about 5 games added to the Game Pass tomorrow.
Wow!
Are these going to be new games? Are they going to be like, remakes, rebuilds, things that have been out already somewhere else and they're just now coming over there? We don't know yet. But things are heating up. There was a couple of there was a big news. Xbox had this kind of like news press event yesterday where they did interviews, and yeah, things are looking interesting. And I don't think that it's going to be dead. I think it's going to be worth tuning in for. So let's cross our fingers and hope that's the case.
Right. And will that live show be on this channel or the main channel?
Oh, that's going to be on the main channel.
Okay. So yeah, we'll put a link to that down in the description box below. And you guys can just find my channel or any of my other social media just at Max Derrat. I'll put links to that in the description box as well. Until Sunday, guys, I want to remind you as always, and as per usual, stay yellow. Stay yellow. I'm so tired. Bye.
Bye.